it does a really good job articulating sort of who we are, what we do at a very high level. And if you scroll down the page, there's a bunch of videos and me explaining a whole bunch of things, everything that we do from top to bottom. But our tagline, which states everything that you need to start, run, and grow a successful art business, really does sum up what we do. You know, we get pigeonholed as they're a website company. They're a website company, and yes, we do offer websites, but it is a tiny, tiny portion of what we do. Ultimately, we learned a couple of years ago, the hard way, by the way, if we are going to grow and be successful as a business, art storefronts, that is 100% dependent, surprise this one, but on how successful our customers are, on how much art and photography our customers are selling on a yearly basis. And so when you look at that as the problem that we're solving, it becomes so much more than a website, because a website is not enough. But still, we're going to talk about the website. I'm going to get into the other layers as we go down. So it does indeed all start with the website. I will pull one up because it'll make it more interactive. And, you know, anyone that's been attempting to sell art or photography for any period of time, I'll use Bono today, they know one thing conclusively: selling art in an e-commerce capacity digitally online is not like selling other items. It's not like selling swim fins or ladies' handbags or electric scooters or bicycles or anything else, right? Buying art, okay, and buying art online is A, an extremely visual process, and B, an extremely friction filled process. And what do I mean by friction? I mean, friction is all of the various different things, okay, that will prevent a visitor to your website from turning into a buyer, okay? And so, really, everything that we do with our software is attempt to solve for this friction, okay? To solve for the friction, to solve for how important the visual aspects are towards selling art and photography online. And, you know, it's never any one feature, it's all of the features working together. It can be little things like when you select a media type, which is canvas, it changes to a canvas, a gallery wrapped canvas. Most people don't even know what a canvas is. And so we've developed special videos that show the differences, the nuances in the real world, what an actual canvas print looks like, what's going to show up at their house, what are the high points of this one, is canvas different than metal. Oops, I missed a click on that. And so you can see what a metal print looks like and how it's sitting flat, eventually how it's hanging up, all the nuances, the intricacies, because it is such a visual process buying art. We have a feature called the wall preview, which allows you to cycle through various different room types. Again, such a visual process buying art. Not only can you circle through the different room types, and yes, you can add your own room type images in. We use some generic ones by design, and you can size pieces up and down, see what it's going to look like. Do I need a 36 by 49? Is that too big? Do I instead want a 28 by 38? We're making it easier for your potential customer to get to a buying decision. What if they want to, their walls aren't white, right? What if they're this ugly color? Or there's something a little bit darker? Is the piece going to look good with this color, right? Because again, buying art is just such an incredibly visual process. You know, another feature that everybody likes to talk about that we get a lot of plaudits for is
Here we
we
are
have this
on
feature,
artist and art
excuse
store.
me, mute that, called live preview with AR, okay? And what this is this allows somebody to come to your website with their telephone, can be iPhone or Android. You can see the phones here on the right-hand side. And without downloading any apps, they can just use their phone, their camera, and press one button on your website that says live preview. And what this is going to do, it's going to take the camera on their phone, okay, which is going to show the real room, the real wall, where the art will potentially go. And then it takes your piece in augmented reality and it projects it onto the wall. And you're able to move it around with your finger. You're able to size it up, size it down, take screenshots. And so, is it going to look great in the room? What size do I need to get, right? And so, again, this is attempting to solve for the visual friction of, I don't know if it's going to work in my room. I don't know what it's going to look like, right? It's just getting them one step closer to a buying decision, removing the friction from the process. And, you know, I've been doing e-commerce marketing, digital marketing my entire life. Everyone loves to gravitate towards the wall preview or the live preview with AR. But the reality is when you do this for any period of time, it's not about one individual feature. It's about all the features working in conjunction, and you never know which one's going to end up. You know, if we think of a sports analogy like a basketball team, it's how many players you have on the court that can contribute, right, to eventually scoring that basket. And so it's why we do the demo process. We have literally hundreds and hundreds of features all to remove the friction, all to help you get better at selling art and photography online. And when you request one of these things, our outreach team will reach out, have a conversation with you, and schedule it. It goes like an hour and 10 minutes, and we just go through feature after feature after feature. So it's not about any one of them, it's about all of them working in conjunction. Independent of that, let's keep working down the page. So we also have a ton of back-end software. It turns out running an art business, art photography business, there's a ton of individual little nuance and things that can slow you down. Okay, things like uploading an image and how many images do you have to upload to your webpage for all the various different media sizes and types you have. It's very helpful to be able to just upload one, have all the sizes auto-populate for you, and tell you exactly what you can sell. Things like markups. How do you set markups? Can you do it globally? Can you do it per media type, right? And so no one likes to talk about the back end features, but we have a slew of those as well, all there to make your life easier, to give you time back. Okay. Um, let's talk about our fulfillment. And we love talking about this. This is in our company DNA pretty significantly, but I'll pull up a website. So we're on Bill Stidham's site. Or I should probably start here actually. So we are integrated. Well, let me start here. You can have it any which way you like. If you're an artist that just does originals and you get orders, obviously you're going to be responsible for fulfilling the originals because you have them. If you're an artist that has a local printer or a photographer that has a local printer, you really like using your printer, you can use your printer. The orders come in, you send the order to your printer. We call that self-fulfillment, no problem. What we recommend our customers do, though, is integrate with one of our print partners, and I'll get into the reasons why. But we've got Graphic Dimensions on the East Coast, we've got Bay Photo on the West Coast, we've got Print Partner for our customers in Canada, and then we just recently integrated with a company called Guten that handles the merchandise, and I'll get into that in a second. Um, how does it work? You sign up, you get your site set up, which usually takes 14 days or less. You click a button that says, I want to integrate with this print partner. An order comes into the website. The printer gets paid. You get paid. The order gets printed. The order gets boxed. Your logo goes on the side of the box. Boom, it ships to the customer. You touch absolutely nothing. There's nothing you have to touch, nothing you have to do. All happens automatically. And again, it's to give you back that amount of time. And, you know, no one has time in today's day and age to be dealing with the admin. Okay. Any time that you spend on the admin, by which I mean sending the order to your local printer, uh, uh, checking on the proof, sending tracking numbers, did it ship, any of that correspondence, all of that, if you're spending your time on that, is time you are not spending on your biggest problem, which is your marketing. So we really believe like streamlining sort of this drop shipping, print on demand, automated fulfillment is a very, very wise decision if you want to create successful artists and photographers. Now, just recently, this was probably what, like a month before Christmas, maybe, we integrated with a company called Guten. And what it allows our customers to do is sell merchandise of a myriad of different kinds. Hoodies, iPhone cases, tank tops. They can come in, adjust the image exactly how they want to see it. Maybe they want to tilt it depending on what case it is, and get iPhone cases and a number of different other items. We've got throw pillows and I clicked out of it, and coffee mugs, and we're adding more and more and more and more of these. And on the subject of merch, we realize again, if you go back to our original mission, why we exist, we need to create a set of circumstances, a set of conditions such that the artist, the photographer can make and grow as successful a business as they want. And so some artists look at this merch and they're like, they turn their noses up at it and like, that's not fine art. Why would I ever want to do that? Some are like, I'm all in, I love it. We don't care. Our job is to provide as many different opportunities for artists and photographers to be successful as possible. And we've been totally blown away by how much of this stuff actually, believe it or not, sells. And some of it is higher margin than you would think. Like a throw pillow is $44, and what does a tote bag cost? I think a tote bag costs $38. So sell it or not, you have every opportunity imaginable available to you. If you want to have it all, in kind of like Bill does here on his site, where you have your fine art media types across the top, and then you have the merch all in one product page. Great. If you want to have individual items in the store, you want to have your artwork, fine, and then you just want to have a line of phone cases. If you want to have one for a couple of weeks and then turn it off, you can do any and all of that, and it's one click to turn it on at any point in time. It's automated. It's completely automated in terms of fulfillment, and that's not going to change. And we realize again, like artists and photographers are essentially just creators, right? You're just creators, and you have a talent. You have a talent with a brush, or you have a talent with the lens. You want to monetize that talent. Okay. So again, our job is to give you as many different opportunities to be able to monetize that talent as possible. So that's how we go about it. And again, it's a debate about when to use it or when not. But somebody on one of these sessions earlier was like, who's the greatest rock band of all time? I was like, no, who? He's like, the Rolling Stones. He goes, guess what the Rolling Stones have at their concerts? I said, what? A giant booth for merch. He's like, they sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of it a year. If the Stones sell it, I'll sell it. So anyway, I thought that kind of stuck with me. It was fun. So that's our print fulfillment. And I should say too that we're adding calendars and we're adding puzzles and we are adding photo books. And to be honest with you, if they come out with a line of hot air balloons, we'll add hot air balloons too, right? Because again, it's creating a set of circumstances such that the artist and photographer can be successful. We don't care where the success comes from. I don't care if Brian gets into business and he's the number one iPhone selling case guy of the entire United States. He's got a successful business, right? So not for us to decide. Support. We believe we have best in class support. If you took a look at our Facebook ads and you scrolled through the 350 of them, you'll see more positive responses for the support than just about anything else. We're very, very good at this. Yes, it's in all the venues you think it is, email, phone, chat support. But in addition to that, kind of what I'm most proud about is we run 6 days a week, including Saturdays, Zoom sessions, just like the one you're on right now, okay? And you can pop into one at any point in time with any support-related issue and get fixed, get unstuck. There's screen shares. They can take over control of your computer and just get you sorted instantaneously. So we're very, very good at it. Not only do we support our application, we ask you guys, we teach you guys marketing all year long, which I'll get into in a second. What if you're having a problem with Facebook or with Instagram or with MailChimp or with your Facebook ads? We actually support that too. You can pop into a Zoom session and say, hey, Patrick, I'm stuck on my Facebook ads. I'm getting this message. Can you help me? And our team will get you unstuck. That's an amazing thing. There's not many companies that do that. So I'm very, very proud about that. That's in terms of the overall website picture. And we essentially do all of that, okay, to give you your time back such that you can work on the biggest problem that every single solitary person on this Zoom call has, which is their marketing problem. You need to get better at it. And let me tell you, I've got 4,700 customers, and there's only one universal truth about every one of them, right? Every niche imaginable, every subject matter, all over this country and others, every one of them has a marketing problem. The person that just passed $500,000 a year in sales has a marketing problem. They want to grow that business, they have a marketing problem. The person that just is getting started, sold their first piece, they have a marketing problem, and everybody in between, right? It is the biggest problem. And so, we want to create successful customers. We realize we need to teach artists and photographers how to market. And so how did we solve for that particular problem? We created collectively what might as well be called the Art Business University. That's how we look at it, because I'm not sure there's a better term to explain it. One, we have the best digital education that exists in terms of selling art and photography online, full stop. I'm hang my hat on this. We have detailed documentation that we call playbooks on every marketing facet imaginable. How to run an email campaign, how to run a Black Friday sale, how to go live on Instagram, how to go live on Instagram and Facebook at the same time, how to go live on Instagram and Facebook at the same time with your laptop on a cell phone. Detailed, step-by-step, audio, video, screenshot documentation. If we're asking you to send emails, we will give you the email copy. You just adjust it to taste for what you're doing. So the playbooks are incredible. They're very robust, and they're very focused on teaching you how to market. We pair that with a 365-day-a-year marketing calendar, okay? It has on it beginner, intermediate, and advanced. You take on what you can take on. You're never not knowing what you need to be doing on a week in, week out basis. You start doing, first, you're overwhelmed. You're like, I've never done this. This is crazy. How am I going to survive? And then you fight through it, and you got through the beginner level, and then you take on the intermediate, and then you take on the advanced. The majority of our customers follow this doggone near verbatim year in, year out, because it works. It's effective. Not only does it tell you what to do, but it solves for one of the other greatest pandemic of our lifetime, the shiny object syndrome, okay? Not only does the calendar tell you what to do, it tells you what not to do, okay? What not to be spending your time on, right? And how do I know this? One, I'm very good at digital marketing. Two, we have 4,700 customers, and I get to see all of their data. I can tell everyone on this call conclusively, out of the 4,700 customers that I have not seen anyone turn a positive ROI out of marketing on Pinterest. No one is making any money from marketing on Pinterest. So I'm going to tell you, you don't have to worry about Pinterest. I see you laughing, Mary. I do not want you spending any time on Pinterest, period. Waste of time. So too with SEO, okay? So the calendar is equally powerful on what you need to focus on is what you ignore, okay? Is what you ignore, and that's a big deal. Number 3 of the Art Business University is what we call office hours. Okay, we take the entire customer base, we split it into 3. Until you sell $2,000 directly on your website, you're in the traction group. And after you sold $2,000 on your website, you're in the ramping group. After you sold a much higher revenue threshold that we don't publish, you get in the advanced group, which we call growth. We hold week in, week out, every single solitary week, and we took 1 week off for New Year's, but essentially 48, 49 weeks a year. Zoom calls like this. You come on a weekly basis. It's either me or members of my team. We go over the playbooks, we go over the calendars, we talk about wins, how somebody landed an interior decorator and sold $35,000 worth. They're going to come on and tell their story. Not only are they going to come on and tell their story, they're going to say, here's the email that did it, here's the copy, here's the Facebook post, and you can go and look at that stuff, right? And you're learning in concert with your peers. Digital online education is not enough. Okay, if you look at the stats out there, I don't care who it is, Kajabi or Masterclass or lynda.com, 30% of the people that buy those courses actually finish them. So we can't just have digital education. We have to have in-person teaching sessions, and everyone knows how to Zoom now. It's our new reality. So those sessions, which we started like, I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks ahead of the pandemic, have been the single solitary biggest fundamental change to our business we've ever had. If before the pandemic, I had 100 customers and I told those 100 customers via email, guys, Black Friday's coming. You got to get going on your sale. Here's the playbook, right? And then I recorded a podcast episode and I was like, we're going to do this. 35 out of the 100 would take action. After these video sessions where I'm able to go through things, people are able to ask their questions, raise their hands, get unstuck, learn your peers. I have 75 people taking action on that sale, and it's fundamentally changing the business. It is making our customers more successful, more accountable, actually staying focused. Like, look, you guys are all solopreneurs for the most part. I mean, we could pull this entire group, and not a lot of you guys have a big team. You don't have an office behind you where you're yelling at an intern to help you out. You are a solopreneur, okay? You know, myself, the CEO, we've been entrepreneurs our entire life. I know it's a roller coaster. I know there's highs and the lows. When you're on those lows, you need a kick in the pants, right? You need to be lifted up sometimes, and that's what these Zoom sessions do too, which is incredible. We follow it up with a Facebook group that is highly curated. Okay, there's no trolls, there's no nonsense in there, right? You've seen some of the other groups out there online and how ridiculous it gets in those things. And artists are sharing with other artists, photographers are sharing with other photographers, the people that are in the landscape niche are talking to others in the landscape niche. Hey guys, what do you think of this new direction? What did you use in terms of pricing? They're publishing their wins. And so sometimes you can't just hear it from us, the official company mouthpiece. And so it's nice to have a whole bunch of people that are doing this same journey at the same time, helping each other out, sharing, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? So that collectively is the Art Business University. And it's like a college. It really is. And the difference is you pay your tuition, you come in, and there's no graduates because the learning never stops, right? And, in addition to that, it never will stop. In today's digital marketing landscape, the goalposts are just constantly moving, right? Like so quickly, you feel like you just learned something and it moves over here. So we keep you up to date with all of that. As a final, about 6 months ago, or maybe 5 months ago now, we started an in-house marketing agency. And it's an in-house marketing agency that only does one thing. It helps artists and photographers sell more art online and off. And we believe already, as of today's date, it's the biggest sole-focused art and photography marketing agency in the world. And that's not hyperbole. I've been asking on these calls, can someone name me an agency that specializes only in helping artists and photographers sell their work? I haven't found one. No one's ever put one in the chat for me, especially not a big one. Why? Because my aforementioned point, selling art and photography is not like selling swim thins or ladies' handbags or scooters. It's hard, right? It's really hard. And we're good at it because we've been working at it for a long time. Also, I get upset, right? Because I look at all of you guys as like, you own a McDonald's, right? And if you owned a McDonald's, you have to know how to do the ordering. You have to know how to clean the floors. You have to know how to open the building. You have to know how to operate the drive-through window. You have to be able to flip burgers and fries and do all of that and do the ordering, right? Like, it's your business. You need to understand those things. But at the same time, I'm not naive in the sense that 80% of our customers still have full-time jobs, or in some capacity. Maybe they're service-based photographers and they're trying to sell their fine art. So I get it. You need You need to be able to have the ability, if you don't have the time to do the marketing and you have the resources, you need a la carte things that you can jump off the shelf. Hey guys, I need my Instagram profile tuned up. I need my Facebook page tuned up. I need to help with a sales campaign. You need to be able to do that sometimes. In addition to things like, we'll completely build your website for you. You don't want to do that. You hate building websites. Your fears in life, in order, are death, taxes, and building another website. I get that. I get that, right? So you can drop your images in a folder, tell us to build the site, we'll build the site for you, okay? We'll manage your Facebook ads, okay? We will manage all of your social posting. And again, it goes back to the top premise. Like, our job is to create successful customers. And so we looked at it 6 months ago and it's like, we need to have an agency. And then some people are like, well, I want to do it myself. Fantastic. Our job is to have the best DIY product, do it yourself, learn, come on the sessions, and then also have an agency where you can pay. And again, it's a la carte, or it's, up to almost full service. And the amazing thing about it is, I've been doing marketing a long time, right? What do all marketers love? A case study. Oh, we love a case study, right? With the sexy data about this huge win, and we publish it on social media and we use it for lead generation. So totally did that all the time. Okay, guilty. And if you lose, you don't publish it, right? You wait till you hit a winner and do all that. But it used to be, I would go and run a case study with a customer, and I'd have the limited bandwidth to do that, and then we would build the playbooks. Well, guess what I have now? I've got agency staff. I've got one guy that all he does all day long is spruce up Instagram pages for artists and photographers. He did 65 of them last week, or probably 65 last month. So imagine the learnings that we're getting. What happens is the learnings are going right back into the playbooks, and then they're coming onto the Zoom sessions and they're teaching, and we've got a little flywheel going on, right? We've got a little artist and photographer education flywheel. So it doesn't matter if you ever order a single solitary service from the agency, and we don't even care if the agency ever makes any money, in all honesty, because all it does is just improves the product, makes more successful customers, and helps us grow. So we really, at the end of the day, are fundamentally a business that can be thought of as a rowboat, right? It takes our oar, your oar. We jump in the boat in the same time, and if we can get that thing rowing in the same direction, the faster we can get that going, the better everybody does. So that's Art Storefronts in a nutshell. That's my presentation.
All right. One of the things that I've been really studying really closely, and bear with me, I'm pulling up a link so I can throw it in the chat. I'll email you a link to this thing too. But Art Basel got together with UBS, and they came out with this report, and they called it the, doggone it, I had this pulled up. Where'd it go? They call it the Art Market Report 2021. Do I have it here? Yeah, here it is. Hold on. I'm going to put it in the chat. I might even screen share so I can show you this. And anytime they do this, it's like, the analogy is you guys are all artists and photographers, and let's take it out of what you guys do, and let's talk about sports. They're pretty much just polling like the professional athletes when they do this, when they do these reports. There's like 2 a year that come out. One from Art Basel and UBS, and the other one is from a group called the Hiscox Group, which is like this English insurer. But they do like a global study on the total art market, okay? And again, it's usually the pro athletes at top of the top, but it's still mega fascinating. And again, I'll email it to you after the fact, but you read the report. It talks about what happened in 2020, what happened at the art fairs, what happened at the auctions, what happened to pricing, what are all the global trends that transpired. And it's a super, super fascinating read. And there's some high level takeaways out of it. And I should probably, these are just the topics: the global art market, dealer sales, auction sales, art fairs and exhibitions, online sales, global wealth and art buyers, and then the economic impact and conclusion. So I'll send it to you, and you should totally read it after the fact. Give it a scan because it's mega fascinating just to understand what's going on out there in that market. But you know what the big takeaway of it is that while global art sales, according to them, declined in the year 2020, the fact is that everybody lost all of their distribution channels. And so when you compensate for the fact that everyone lost their distribution channels, galleries closed, art and fair circuit shut down, can't go to it. The people that had the online distribution channel, the people that had the attention, they had the ability to market, they had a following, they cannibalized all those sales. And so it ended up being a fantastic time for them, which is interesting to see. And then it also particularly highlights one topic that I'm super hot on, which is, you want the four pillars of an art business for the next 10 to 15 years. Very, very simple. What is the best way to sell art? It's in person, face to face. Okay. No one's ever disputing that. That'll never go away. That is the best way to sell art, full stop. Problem is, you guys are all geographically fixed on this earth. We all need to sleep, and you can't have 15 conversations concurrently unless you're my wife. Now, on this side, you actually have to have a website. Why? Because the website works when you sleep, right? It can handle those geographic situations and everything else. What 2020 taught us is there was this old technology knocking about called video that all of a sudden everybody needed to start learning and using and utilizing and getting good at, and that's become the step in the middle, right? So those are like the three pillars that you need to have as an art business looking forward into the next decade, let's just say. Of course, you want to sell in person any opportunity that you have. Yes, you need to have the website because geographic, sleep, concurrent conversations. But live video is the new sort of profundity to take away from 2020 about how much art was sold. And I love, the rest of us call them Zoom calls, right? On this report, which again is very snooty and hoity-toity, I think they call it, God, they have a name for it. Is it OVR? Hold on, I've got it right here. Okay, I want to read a couple of these quotes just because I think it's so ridiculous. But you and I call them Zoom sessions, okay? The prestigious gallery houses call them online viewing rooms. And so the stats that this report was essentially highlighting, and again, just to make it very clear, okay, on the top line here, I've got Art Jenkins, Ursula, Andrew, Thomas. If I inquired about your art, you would email me back and say, hey, Patrick, you know what? I'd be willing to set up a Zoom call or a Snapchat or a face chat or a whatever. It's you and I talking live on video just like this, you attempting me to sell your art, okay? But there's snooty OVR. They have to rebrand it. Ridiculous. It's a Zoom call. So, some of the interesting things are that, okay, hold on. 45% of what they call high net worth collectors reported purchasing a work through a Zoom session, and that was in 2020 alone. And then let's talk about the art fairs and shows, right? And this can be everything from the huge one, Art Basel, down to like the lower local ones, right? 365 global art fairs that they surveyed for 2020, 61% were canceled, 37% held live events, so they actually did still go on, and the remaining 2% tried to have a hybrid live/video event. As a result of all of the retail and traditional ways of being shut down, the share accounted, and I quote, the share accounted for by online sales expanded from 9% of total sales by value in 2019 to 25% in 2020. The first time shares of e-commerce in the art market has exceeded that of general retail, exceeded that. And it's like, is that really so hard to believe, right? Like, how many of us are ordering more food online? How many of us are ordering groceries online? That's never happened before, right? But a lot of these habits are going to get stuck in and really become a new way of life. So it's a fascinating time to be an artist, photographer. The fact that you can, still have a thriving business in the midst of a pandemic is pretty incredible. The fact that because everyone started working from home, because no one was going to the office, because they were spending so much time at home, art, photography, along with the entire home decor segment, office furniture, redoing the house, anything, exploded in the pandemic is sort of amazing. But, you got to have the three things. One, you have to be selling in person, face to face whenever you can. Okay, simple enough. Two, the website. Three, you need to understand the live component and make all of those sales channels for your business. And then four, what I put underneath them, because sales 1, 2, and 3 are pillars or channels, whatever you want to call them, 1, 2, or 3. The artist owns everything. You're selling direct. There's no middleman. There's no one else involved in the transaction. You keep 100% of the revenue. You keep the data on your customers and what you're able to market to in perpetuity. Underneath that is any other revenue source that you've got working. You have an online gallery working? Fantastic. Keep it. Squeeze it. We are pro revenue sources you can get. You have a gallery that's in town or some other town that's working for you? Does it suck? You do a 50-50 split? Yes. Does it suck you don't get to keep your collector information or any data about your customers? Yes. Do I care? No. I want you to keep the revenue source. Any revenue source that's working is fantastic. Even the online galleries. If you're one of the rare that are doing well in Fine Art America or Etsy or Redbubble or Saatchi or any of the rest, fantastic. Keep those working. But understand the 1, 2, and 3 selling direct is what you need to be focused on, is the wave of the future. If you can't market to collectors if you have a business that like has a revenue source where you're not keeping your customer information and you can't market to collectors in perpetuity, I don't even know how you make it as an artist in today's day and age. Very difficult task. But anyway, I'm going to put the report in the chat. I'm going to send it to you in an email after the fact. I totally think it's worth scanning. And then, you know, if you don't want to read the whole thing because you're just over it and you think it's too hoity-toity, they have like a April, I'll send you the link. They have like key findings of the report, and it goes through the whole thing. But anyway, I don't know why I'm ranting about that. You know, as weird as our industry is, there's not a whole lot of reports, right? And these two are like the huge ones, and so you got to read them. That's the only, you know, the biggest reports in the whole thing. So okay, question time. It can be about anything. For those that have their camera on, and don't feel like you have to have your camera on, by the way, you can do the old school hand raise. I will see that, and I'll know. But there's a digital way to do it too. There's like a little participants bar down at the bottom of Zoom. And if you click on that, there's a way to digitally raise your hand and I'll know you've got a question. If you want to put a question in the chat, you can do that. We're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I see those comments coming in. I will deal with those as well. But I'd love to take any questions that you might have. Thomas, I'm sorry, I have to say it. You remind me of Tom Brokaw. I don't think that's the first time you've got that in your life. Is that the first time you got that in your life? That you look a little bit like Tom Brokaw? No? He's like, he's nonplussed. He's like, no. No. Fingers up, thumbs down? No? All right, fine. Well, I like Tom Brokaw. Grew up on Tom Brokaw. Reminds me of him. But yeah, let me know if you guys have questions. I'm not afraid to go on the offense and poke and prod, despite my 0 for 1 with Thomas there. But yeah, if you're not gathering the information on the folks that you're selling to, boy, are you at a disadvantage. Like the collector list, as you gather that over the course of years, and the collector list, I mean, you know, you get a sale, you keep this person on your list, you get to send them emails, you get to market to them in perpetuity. Boy, is that important. Man, is that important. Oh, is it just such a critical thing. I'll give you a for instance, okay? You know, we teach marketing and sales all year long, right? And I'm in the middle of a case study with a customer right now, and she's having a live art show. And the live art show is literally today. It's tonight, Wednesday night. She's opened up, so she's going to go live on the social media platforms. Anyone's followed us for any amount of time knows that I talk about this incessantly because I think it's the future. She is going to have the show today, Wednesday, but she's been at her marketing for a couple of years. There are 70 pieces in her show, okay? 70 pieces in this particular live art show she's going to have. The show's tonight. She emailed all of her collectors, people that have bought, you know, expensive pieces from her in the past, and said, hey, I'm going to have this show tonight. Of course, you get a first dibs because you're my collectors. And she opened it up to her collectors. And I think at last count, whenever I talked to her this morning, 32 or 33 of the 70 pieces are already gone, sold, all to her collector list. Now, if you're sitting here and you're in a scenario where you've never gathered data on your customers, how are you ever going to do that? You're never going to be able to do that, right? Like, you know, the live art show is just one single solitary part of it. I always cite this guy's book because I love the book. Hold on. Everyone says he's the #1 best-selling artist in the United States right now. Weiland, the whale guy, right? Great book, short read, super annoying because he doesn't sell it on Amazon. You have to like go to his website because I think it's for charity or whatever. I love that it's for charity. I like buying my books on Amazon. I'm lazy. But you know, he cites the fact that for him, a collector is someone that will buy 7+ pieces of art over their careers, over their lifetime with him. And it's like you keep getting better at your craft, your prices keep going up, and the collector just goes along for the ride. And here I am running this live art show with this gal today, and she sold 33 out of the 70 pieces. It just keeps hitting you in the face. So you gotta you got to cultivate your own list of collectors. Man, is it so important. So important. Yes, in terms of questions in the chat, a very beginner question. What is the often... Oh, I love this question, Amy. I'm going to unmute you so I can talk to you. Amy, are you there? You'll have to hit the unmute, which is in the bottom left-hand corner.
I am here.
Okay. So do you know what the answer to this is, Amy?
No, I don't.
One.
Why?
All you need is one image. Because what happens is that, and I've seen this time and time again, and I'm not pointing my wrath at you because I've done this multiple times in my own career. All just gets started when I have this optimal number, which doesn't exist, by the way. I'll get launched. When I just have 6 images or 10 images or 15 images, then I'll be ready to launch. And then it goes, Okay, well, when I get those 10, 15, 20 images properly photographed, then I'll be able to launch. And then you know what happens? The minutes turn into hours, turn into days, turn into weeks. How's that art business coming? You have that website up? Is that store
Yeah,
open?
I'm
You could go
sort of the
10 years,
opposite.
Amy. You could go 10 years until you get started.
No, I get that. It's sort of
Yeah.
the opposite, how to
hmm
pare down thousands of images. So that's helpful to
Okay,
hear.
that's a much better question. So, you sold any of it or not sold any of it?
No,
Okay, so you have no idea about bestsellers. So what I want you to do is, do you have them photographed or not photographed? And I'm saying iPhone photographed. Do you even have images of it at all?
what I have is we're going back to negatives,
Oh, wonderful.
other digital
Yeah,
archives,
wonderful.
and sales are more from uh,
The services.
shooting, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yep. Yeah, yep.
services like
Services. All good. So what I would do is I would go through the archive and say I'm going to pick what I think my 50 best sellers are, and I'm going to launch with those. Done. Because you don't
great,
know you don't know what you don't know, right? Like if you've never taken
right,
the product to market, you have no idea, and no one can tell you, and you can't trust your friends and family because they'll say nice things to you about anything, right? They'll lay down in
right,
traffic for you. Like the only thing that you can do is get those things up on the website, start in earnest on the marketing, and see what strangers say, and you'll know very quickly which ones to drop and which ones to highlight and go up to the front. And it's like if you think like the easiest way to do this, and I'll kind of give you like the marketing guru, okay, example. If you look at it like an image grid on a website, right? And 4 images across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What we do as marketers is we throw that image grid up and we throw a bunch of traffic at it. And then we look at the heat map, and the heat map is where the eye goes to. And it could be based on the color, it could be based on they like that image more, what do they click on, all of those sorts of things. And then we constantly adjust to taste. So, what does the artist do? Step one is I don't know what I don't know. The only way I will know is if I take these products to market. You get them all up on the website. You start in on your marketing. You see what you start getting attention on. My guess is if you start getting attention on one particular category, you're like, wait a minute, I've got 4 shoeboxes and negatives down here. This exact subject material. Let's go scan it in those boxes, right? So don't overthink it. Whatever it takes to get going on the sales immediately. That's the ball game. Oh, you muted again. Sorry, Amy. I'll mute you again.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Yeah. And don't think you have to do it just, by the way, just on the website. The larger point is like you won't know until you try and sell them to strangers. Straight up. So you could just like, yourself, your spouse, your friend, your family, just like, what do you think the best sellers will be? Okay, great. Go and get prints made and then go to a local show or a fair or a farmer's market if you're, not living in COVID lockdown. The larger point is don't sit and wait. You'll never know what it is until you try to sell.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Amy. Okay, so I'm scanning back up in the chat. Sarah says, I'm going to unmute you too, Sarah. Let me see if I can find you. And again, you don't have to turn your camera on. It's just so we can talk audio. And you'll have to hit the mic icon in the bottom left-hand corner, Sarah, if that's okay. So she says, even more beginner question, does Art Storefront offer advice on pricing? Yes, 100% we offer advice on pricing. The thing is about pricing is, and people really get a little bit heated on this one. So I'm gonna give you my pitch, Sarah. Then I want your 2 cents. I'm only aware of 2 companies that don't run sales: Louis Vuitton and Tiffany's. Someone told me recently that Hermes, whatever that thing is, Hermes, the thing I can't afford that my wife would love, that brand are the only ones that I know of that don't run sales. Everyone else runs sales, runs incentives, and so we strategically recommend a pretty significant markup. Now, it varies a little bit here or there, but a 250% markup is what we like, because when you have the time to do a sale and you're going to do the 10, 20, 30% off, we don't want your margin getting too cannibalized, right? And especially you said you're a jeweler. I don't know how expensive the pieces are, but especially when the pieces get expensive, everyone negotiates. Everyone negotiates. Part of the deal, right? The more expensive the piece, the more negotiation there is. So you want to give yourself a little margin, a little padding to come down to get the sales over the line.
That makes sense.
Do you know of anyone else that you've ever seen that's never had a sale
You mean in jewelry?
in anything?
Never had a sale. I have. I'm in upstate New York,
Mhm.
so at some of the art fairs, it can be kind of dicey.
Mhm.
You have to be really careful how what you're putting out there, and
Mm-hmm.
what the prices that you're putting on things, because people are pretty, they shy away
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. They're very nervous about putting money into art in
Yes.
this area anyway.
Yep. I mean, that can be anywhere. I mean, you always have your individual circumstances, but that's also the beauty of a website and marketing globally is you get out of your small town, right? You get
Yeah,
exposure to everywhere. Yeah.
definitely.
Do you just do jewelry?
Um, I have
Mm-hmm.
pretty much up until the COVID thing, like for everybody else, it knocked us out of,
Yeah.
local fairs, local festivals.
Yes.
So it's just me making it,
Mm-hmm.
and it is mostly silver.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about going into gold. I can work in gold,
Mm-hmm.
but for right now, that's pretty out there with the price of gold where it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and people are very shy about paying for silver whenever they see what the price for silver is, and the whole thing of paying for the silver as opposed to paying for the art. And I
Yeah.
think you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah. I do. I do.
It's really hard.
Carrying around your
Non,
carrying around your net worth in a ring or your on your ears. Yes, I totally get that.
yeah.
Totally get that. But
So yeah,
you the same as everyone else, Sarah. Like if and this applies to anyone going to shows or going to fairs, and maybe even doing that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Imagine if you understood actually how to get the true ROI out of a show or a fair, which is aggressive email capture at every single solitary one, an incentivized giveaway of sorts at every single solitary one. In Sarah's case, she's going to give away a free $50 something or other. Put your business card in the fishbowl and/or put your name on the list. Some shows are better than others. Some shows you get 25, 50 emails. Some shows you get 350 emails. Show ends. You say, all right, I drew the name out of the hat and Tom won. Congratulations, Tom. You look like Tom Brokaw. You just won. Everyone else, I'm so sorry. You didn't win. I hate it. I don't ever win anything. But guess what? For the next 48 hours, I'm going to take 30% off the entire thing store wide. If you want something, great. If not, thanks again for entering. Years go by, years go by, years go by. Next thing you know, Sarah has an email list with 25,000 names on it because she's been doing the shows for that long, and COVID hits. Guess what? The shows are still open for her because all she's doing is emailing her list and having a live art show. And I talked to so many of you guys that have been going to shows for years, and you were not aggressive about capturing emails, and you were not aggressive about emailing them the entire time. And had you been, your business would have been unaffected. Not only unaffected, it would have grown in the pandemic, which is a crazy thing to think about. I'm not picking on you, and I'm totally assuming too. Maybe you were gathering emails, but
No, that's true.
yeah, yeah,
That is true.
yeah.
That's kind of like you want to be out there making things, and then actually trying what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
Having to actually go out there and with the public, the friction or the meet and greet with the public, it's exhausting.
Oh, it's completely exhausting. The whole show and fair circuit is completely exhausting. Like you're on your feet, you're loading up the car, the booth, watching everything, eating crappy meals, not getting exercise, then coming home exhausted. Like the whole thing stinks. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm mega pro art show because the reasons that I just mentioned. Like, everyone thinks digital is a cure-all panacea, and while it's a great time and you can reach a worldwide audience and everything else, doesn't mean it's easy, right? You still have to grind and do everything else. So when I have local shows and fairs, and this is 100% of what we teach, right? To get the most ROI out of any marketing situation, like, you can sit there and go, okay, I'm going to grind out the next 3 years of shows and fairs, and then I'm never going to have to do another one again because I'm going to build my little marketing machine. I'm going to gather all of those emails. I'm going to romance those folks all year long. I'm going to have sales during Q4. And guess what ends up happening? You've got a robust business that you built off the back of the show and fair circuit. And let me tell you, do you think any of the social media sites are any different? All our job is to do is to go and get on those sites and take the attention that they have and get them on our list and market to them. That's it. It's the whole ball game, right? And the show and fair circuit is amazing because you get to talk face to face, right? The problem is that you don't want to do 50 of them a year and travel all across the United States. So that's the ball game. But we can help you, Sarah. Jewelers are in sort of a tough spot because there's not really a platform out there for them. There's no like magical. This thing rotates the ring and input the weight and everything else. So there's not one for you. So you're sort of just stuck on any e-commerce platform. And at the end of the day, you're no different than every other person on this call. You have a huge marketing problem and you need to solve it. If you do, you're going to be in a great place. If not, you're going to be reliant on these other sources where, see the aforementioned point about booth fees and everything else. Oh, okay. Thomas, you are there. I don't know. I don't know. Here, so at the bottom corner, Thomas, there's like a little microphone icon on your screen. If you sort of just,
Yeah, I see it.
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't mean to ignore you, Patrick. I think my mind was wandering when you mentioned my name, and then it finally dawned on me you were talking about me.
Yes.
Or I'm practicing one of the principles of marketing, scarcity.
Yes, indeed.
My question has to do with the sale issue that you're talking about. I've always thought of fine art as being in a different category than selling shoes and selling radios or electronic equipment. And my analogy has often been, would you go to a dentist that has billboards on highways all over town? And my answer would be no.
Yeah.
So when I went on a websites of a couple people that they're connected to you, I was really surprised to see those 20% off, 10% off, whatever the deals were. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm in a quandary about that. And the artist, I'm an agent, and the artist I represent is a fine art photographer, and he's from France, and he is very he's very determined not to put himself in a billboard advertising category.
Yeah. I totally get that, and I love that question, by the way, and I can answer it in a million different ways. And I always cite there's I got him in my notes, and his name escapes me, but this guy was in like the late 70s, early 80s, and he was like a social scientist / business professor. And he goes, when we finally move from the age of information scarcity to information abundance, the most precious commodity is going to be attention, right? And we live in that era now, where with the attention, you can do anything. Without it, you've got nothing. You've got no sales. You have no one looking at your art. You're not selling anything, right? So that's number one. We live in the attention economy. A lot of what we recommend are techniques, tactics to get attention, right? The lead capture stuff on e-commerce sites is pretty much a standard.
Screen froze. Patrick, my screen froze. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Go ahead.
That's okay. The lead capture that you see on our websites is pretty much the standard on every single solitary e-commerce website in the world, for the most part, aside from very, very few, solely because attention is so hard to get, right? And the analogy, and I don't mean to be trite or flippant, ladies, but you're in the bar, right? And the gal walks in, and you're like, oh my gosh, this could be the future love of my life. And she's about to leave, right? And you're trying to gather up the chutzpah to go up and talk to her and maybe like ask her for a number, right? Because if she leaves, she's never coming back again, right? That's what that lead capture is. And sadly, that thing plays out time and time again on the internet. If you don't ask, they're not going to give it to you, and they're going to leave, right? So I could argue quite significantly that without that, you don't stand as good of a chance at building a digital business. But now let's hop all the way over to the right-hand side. And I tell this story, and I love this story, and I understand the photographer that you represent doesn't want to appear that way, and it offends his sensibilities and everything else. So the guy that I just changed the background to, okay, really, really good friend, longtime customer. And this image behind me, this one, was the banner image for a show that he had, okay? And this particular piece, the way he priced the show, and this was pre-COVID, like a year before COVID, the way that he priced the show was the size of the image, okay? If it was the same size, like this is the same size as the last one, then they were all the same price. And so I think these ones were $32,000 or $34,000, or I don't have the numbers quite right, but it's in that range. And I'm helping him market the show and build like a playbook, which is these things we do internally. And this is a full-blown gallery open, dog and pony, bartenders, live music, the whole thing, promoted, right? And we used that image that's real. I forgot this is a video, but we used that first image as like, the banner image on everything. So it was on the marketing material, it was in the emails, it was on anything sent out, the flyers, all of it, whatever it was. And so I was like, guys, we can't not have this image priced more. Like, there's no way. This is the banner image, it's the headline image. You have to price it more, right? And they're like, "Ah, I don't know. It was a fight, tooth and nail. Finally, I get the gallery owner because she's 50-50 partner on this. I get my buddy on the phone. I was like, we're going to raise it. And so if the price was $30,000, I got him to raise it to 45,000, right? Raised it to 45,000. Night of the show happens. Piece does not sell, okay? Piece does not sell, but one of our collectors comes in. He's really, really interested. He waits a week, comes back and goes, I want to take this piece home. I want to take it today. No chance I'm giving you $45,000. I'll give you 30. Piece sold, right? So was that item on sale in a different way, in a different capacity? The higher the price of the piece goes, the more negotiation there is. It's just whether it's behind closed doors or not, in my estimation. So it's a balance.
The distinction that I hear, though, in what you're saying is there's a difference, Patrick, between lowering a price to attract a customer versus lowering a price to close a sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
And lowering a price to close a sale, I mean, nobody, I don't think my client is opposed to negotiating.
Yeah.
But when you see a website that has a little coupon, it's the same thing you see at Macy's and
for sure,
Walgreens.
For sure. I totally, I 100%
with it myself.
Yeah, I understand your position, his position. I would say though, like, if your business is a restaurant, right, and your job is to get people butts into those restaurant seats, and you're like, I'm not willing to get out on the street and scream and yell for him to get in here. I'd rather have an empty restaurant. That is what I would say it is at a macro, because every single sole trade person, it's like not hyperbole, because I talk to so many, right? Like their biggest problem is just getting attention, straight up, hardest thing to do. And so anything that you do, okay, to take one arm in that fight and tie it behind your back, in my estimation, hurts you. Now, I'm not being judgmental in the slightest. Everyone can do it their own way, right? You have the ability to do it your own way. My job is to tell you all the ways that it's effective to get attention and that I think you can grow your business. Your job is to skin it to the business the way that you want to do it, right? Like no one's saying compromise your principles in the slightest, but I would say everyone's number one struggle is just more attention, more eyeballs. And I really do mean that, even for, our customers that are approaching the $1 million a year mark. Very, very small list, obviously. But even those folks, they need more attention.
One final question then is that does the artist have the option of whether to add that sales sign or not? Or
100%. 100%.
So each website is managed individually.
Yes. The artists control everything with us. They control everything. We're not involved in the transaction. Like, that's like sort of our mantra, right? Like, the artist needs to own the URL. The artist needs to own the website. The artist needs to own the email list. The artist needs to be responsible for marketing. We partner and we teach you how to do that, but the artist owns everything. They can handle all of that in perpetuity. That's how they actually have a business at the end of it, right? How many clients have you represented every year doing that, by the way? It's sort of a fascinating job.
How many clients right now? 6.
6. And you made a whole career of it?
No, I'm a management consultant. I was in clinical psychology, and now for the past 6 or 7 years, I've been an executive consultant. Mm-hmm. But this just kind of cranked up out of the blue, and I just jumped at it, and it's a world I'm familiar with. So it's working for me. It's working with me so far. I have one last question.
Yeah, please.
When I talked with the representative a couple days yesterday or the day before regarding startup costs, he quoted me a range. These are not exact figures. It was like 1,000 or 2,400 to kind of 1,000 to 2,400 to get set up with art storefronts. So my question is, the amount of that startup cost depends on what?
Bells and whistles. Bells and whistles. It's sort of like a situation where, depending on who your customer or client is, and let me give the race car driver analogy, right? Like if you're just learning to drive, you don't need a Ferrari. You just don't, right? You need like a Nissan Sentra. Drive that around a little bit, figure it out. But if you know how to drive, if you have a ton of traffic already, you're established, you have a good social following, you've been marketing, you're gonna have a bunch of people come to the website, then you need the bells and whistles. But you don't need them when you're just getting started, because most people have zero traffic, zero attention, zero email list, the majority. Now, if your guy's established, by virtue of the fact that he's hired you, those bells and whistles, if he's gonna send a decent amount of eyeballs towards the site, will probably help him out quite a bit.
Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time.
Just out of curiosity in the psychology thing, did you ever read Cialdini's books? Like the subtle psychology of reciprocation? I'll put up a screenshot. We should actually show it. What is it, Cialdini? Hold on, I'm gonna show it. I find that this is one of the here it is. It's called influence. I want to get a good shot of that. Hold on. Where's my Amazon listing when I need it? Is that it? No. Google's giving me a weird thing here. Hold on. Influence. It's called Science and Practice by Cialdini. Anyway, he talks in the book about the subtle psychology of, here, I've got it. Hold on. The subtle psychology of reciprocation being like a huge one. It sort of speaks to the lead capture tool. Let me just show it quickly. If you're watching on the socials, you're not going to see this. It's this one right here. Hold on. Oh. This one. Amazon is being really weird. Why is it doing that? This book is just absolutely fantastic. Your background. I don't know if you ever read that one, but what a great one to learn how to sell art and market and everything else. Now I'm going to unmute you again, Tom. Have you read that one? I can't. Well, yeah, you're muted, so I'll leave you. But great book. Your background made me think of it. As a result,
Thank you.
yeah. Oh, thank you. Did you read that one? Oh, you muted and unmuted.
No, I'm familiar with the author, but I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you got to read that one. That was so good. So good. Okay, Julian's asking, does cold calls, emails to professionals, i.e. architecture firms, work to make a following? Yeah, 100% it can work. But like everything in marketing, Julian, we have to ask ourselves, is it the highest ROI way to go about it? Meaning, if it's going to be me versus Julian in a foot race, and the foot race is really how many email addresses that we can capture. And Julian's like, okay. And I unmuted you, Julian, so you should be able to hear me. You can chime back in if you want. So you and I are in a foot race, okay? And the goal is email addresses. And Julian's like, I'm going to cold call all of these architecture firms and try to capture as many email addresses as we can. And I'm like, all right, awesome, Julian. I'm going to do a bunch of marketing on the social media sites. Ready, go. My bet is I would kick your butt. And so could you do it that way? Could it be effective? Yes. Are you a salesman, by the way? People are terrified of cold calling normally.
No, actually, my background has been in epidemiology, like
Okay.
Fauci.
Yeah.
And I have a BFA degree in photography and painting,
Okay.
which I laid down for 20 years. And now I'm getting back in.
Okay. Well, I am going to reassess my earlier statement. Now let me try this out. Julian and I are in a foot race, okay? Julian is an experienced epidemiologist. He is going to call up under the auspices of, you know Dr. Fauci. He trained under me for 15 years. By the way, then you're going to get into all those doors. I think, Julian.
I'm just being a newbie and no knowledge of marketing.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm just like, how do I get a following?
Yeah. I mean, everyone hears social media and they're like, oh God, social media. One, I'm not active on it. Two, I don't want to tell anyone what I had for lunch yesterday and all the rest of the nonsense. But it's something that we have to be contrarian about. We live, again, in an age where attention is the currency, right? And so, if we were fishermen, okay, we would leave the harbor and take the boat to where the fish are, right? The social media sites have all the fish. I wish it weren't the case, but they do. So it's very easy, very effective to do it that way. Are there other effective ways in which you could potentially get attention and do things? And is cold calling one of them? Yeah, cold calling is actually coming back. There's so little cold calling going on these days in contrast to the others that like the receptionist at the architecture firm is going to be like, I have not got a cold call in quite some time. Thank you. This was awesome, right? So you could do it that way effectively. So you have the degree, you have the chops, you probably did it as a hobby. Have you attempted to sell the work at all?
Not in 20 years.
Not in 20 years.
I sold small little galleries,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be in a show with Ansel Adams and Edward Weston and Hilton Head.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
The director got pregnant, dropped the show, and my career crashed.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave up, walked away, went back to chasing bugs.
You quit. You quit. And you were about to summit show with Ansel Adams.
Yeah.
You'd be dining out on that thing to this day. Ask me whether or not I would put once exhibited with Ansel Adams all over your website. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
It would be on the masthead. It would be on the door. Yeah. But you can you can do it, Julian. It's like anything else, right? Like you're annoyed, you're frustrated. You're miffed, you're pissed, you're having to learn things technologically, and then you get over it and you send your first email and you're like, you know what? That wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And then you send another one, and then you send another one, and then you have a sale for Black Friday. Like, You know, if you want to
Yeah.
make a career out of it in retirement, you know, there's some amazing things you can do in today's day and age. You just have to do the marketing, you have to do the work, you have to get the attention. Or, you know, try banging on the gallery doors or try doing the fairs and shows. Like the digital marketing is actually easier, but it's no different than building up your immune system, right? Like you have to get the exposure to the various different viruses and bugs and sick a couple of times, and then you get a little bit stronger. So it's the same thing. You have to do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm contemplating that. I mean, I have some old photos I talked to you last week, and
Mhm.
like World Trade Center photos from Brooklyn Bridge, and that it's got to be valuable this year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anytime on an anniversary year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. I mean, there's a lot of them, but again, like case in point, right? It's like why he or she who has the attention wins. You know, maybe there's 6 people or 20 people or 50 people that have that photo, but the only one that's going to sell it is the one that can get it in front of eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, no
Yeah.
one knows you even have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we actually have a. If you send me an email, and I'm sure I've emailed you, we've got a guy, photographer. Do you still live in New York?
No, I'm in Olympia, Washington.
Oh, you're living in Washington. I was gonna
Yeah.
say we got an old school New Yorker who's was an ad man forever and is now a photographer about your age. Really good dude. You'd probably like to talk to him anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can help you. We can help you, but only if you're committed to being a grunt for a little bit, because you do have to learn how to do this stuff early on. There's no shortcut to that. But once you do,
Yeah.
everything gets easier, and you can have a business that you can continue to run, own, and operate from your home, make sales, not have to touch anything. There's a whole lot to like about this business. There's ups and downs in any business. The downside is getting started early on and doing the marketing, and
Yeah,
I don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I'm committed. I mean, I I I was old school black and white,
Mhm.
darkroom guy, but I had a liver transplant 2 years ago, and I said I'm going back into photography, and I grabbed my laptop in the ICU and like bought $20,000 in photo equipment. I'm doing it.
You're not going in that dark room anymore, Julian. Welcome
Yeah.
to the digital world, my friend.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. We got some classic stories going on today. Met Tom Brokaw, Julian, the epidemiologist. I mean, we're well on our way. Okay, Gabrielle Lee Smith is saying, I'm finally joining your webinar. Yay. Awesome. Glad to have you. Some questions. Do you have documents that I can see over what y'all do at art storefronts, national or local? Contract time buyout? Contract time buyout. I don't know if you're, I don't know, Gabriel, that's totally confusing to me. I don't really understand what you're asking. Contract time or buyout? So the contract is whatever you sign up for. And you can cancel at any time. You can go on hibernation at any time. We don't really get that many people to cancel, which is awesome. Most people quit the business when they do, or I might get a couple here or there, but not really that many. But that's never an issue, buyout or any of that, national, local. The artist owns everything with us, Gabriel. If you watch the beginning of this thing, there's like a demo that goes over everything. Okay, what else? So I did the cold calling. Back to the weird question. I'm back to painting after nearly 2 decades, and drowning in my prior artwork as my sizing was extreme. Oh yeah, that's always hard. Is it crazy to try a sale for later work without a brand in place, or is it better to work on my brand beforehand? Oh, you know how I'm going to answer this one, Erica. Okay, I'm going to unmute you. I want to hear about the crazy sizes first because I'm curious. You'll need to unmute, Erica. It's mic icon bottom left down there somewhere.
Yeah. Hi,
Gotcha.
Patrick.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So did you paint crazy big or crazy small?
I painted like 72 inches by 102 inches.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard.
And 15 years ago, I bought an old colonial.
Mhm.
So half those paintings I rolled up. They've been in storage. Some of my small quote, I just did air quotes.
Yeah, it's
Some
okay.
of my quote smaller pieces are like 42 by 60, and those can fit in my room. But I'm at this point where I finally am showing to
Mhm.
friends and family,
Mhm.
because for the longest time, to be honest with you, I thought, what am I doing? I
Mhm.
spent ages painting people. The
Mhm.
majority of the pieces I did were figurative
Okay.
pieces. And so now at this point, right now my current work is trending towards 24 by 36, 42 by 52, not very big
Mm-hmm.
in my world. Um, and I really I'm stuck between a couple things of which where do I move forward? How do I get a presence aside from just having a Facebook page because I'm going to do that
Mm-hmm.
and feed it to Instagram. What interests me about your product, and I need to have another talk with you
Mm-hmm.
and listen to your entire introduction again. Um, like, what is my best way to move forward? Get rid of my old art because I have a lot of it,
Yeah.
and try to get as many eyes on it as possible,
Yes.
and be find those purchasers, find those buyers. Uh, what do you? I know this is a big question, but what are your thoughts?
No, it's okay. I love these questions, and it's funny because I don't know if you saw me switch backgrounds to the guy, the genius of modern technology that I could switch. So, this guy, the guy behind me, this show was huge pieces. They were huge. I don't know what the official size on it is, but they were way too big. Okay, and I got to
Mhm.
see the ramifications of that, which is like, it's kind of like, selling tanks when we all have a normal sized garage, right? If you're going to sell a tank, there's about like 9 garages in town that the doggone thing can fit in, right? Nobody has walls that size. So it's really, you really limit the number of buyers you have, which is not to say they're not awesome. You can also charge a bunch of extra money for them. So my point is, I feel your pain on the size thing. I've learned my lesson on the size thing too, which is you really have to be intentional about it. But the bigger question you need to ask is, number one, out of the old stuff that you've done or out of the new stuff you're doing, do you feel confident that it will sell? Have you sold it? Okay. And you don't need to answer that right now. Once you get past that question and you know that you have a product that the market actually wants, then it just turns into marketing. And you get stuff up on a website and you start learning how to market and you grow the business. And year by year, the business gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You have to answer the first question though, right? If you've been an artist that long and people do definitely want to buy the work and have bought the work and you have sold the work to people not named mom, dad, brother, sister, family, friends, then you're ready to go. You're ready to fix the marketing problem. That's it. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, then yes, we can totally help you. But you do need to attempt to sell the stuff and figure that out. So I don't know. Have you sold some of the newest stuff?
I have
Mhm.
some of I've only sold most of the my smaller prints that I made
Mm-hmm.
ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a buyer in mind. Well, a buyer who's interested in a 36 by 48 painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that does go through.
Mm-hmm.
It is a former colleague, but I do know for sure that she doesn't just buy because she knows me.
Yes.
She's definitely much you know she's much more interested in the art itself, not the person,
Awesome.
as in me.
Get that
Yeah.
get that sale over the line.
Okay.
Get that sale over the line, whatever it takes, especially if you have to negotiate and drop down a little bit. Don't worry about it. Move it, right? I would try to move all the out inventory that or as much of it as I could, the existing stuff. Picasso's got this line and I love it. He's like, somebody was asking him advice on his drawings, and he's like, early on, my art, I said my drawings. Early on, my drawings did not always command the highest prices, but they always sold. Your art has to go out into the world. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different ways to interpret that quote. Me, marketing guy, businessman, cash flow, okay? That thing's not doing any good. It's sitting in the basement, gathering dust, right? If it won't sell today, it's never going to sell. So get that thing to a price, move it. We get a nice little confidence boost. We get a little endorphin hit. We get picked up. All right, I'm going to get going on some more and sell them and move them, right? So I want you to sell that old stuff, but you got to decide if you want it. If you want it, get those sales in and decide if you're willing to invest a couple of years in your marketing. If you are, you got a business. It sounds to me like you're probably already over the art validation hump if you've been at it for that long and you've got some solid interest. But let's get that sale over the line.
Thanks, Patrick. One final question though.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
while I'm trying to move these pieces,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that and right now Instagram and a Facebook page is my best way to go?
Hugely
As
helpful.
a
Yeah, hugely
okay.
helpful. I mean, the chicken and the egg situation, right? Like in a pre-COVID world, I would have said easiest way to do it, like I said in the beginning of this presentation, face to face, person to person, right? Like go and find a local booth or local anything that you can get. I don't care if it's at a brewery or the farmer's market or a local fair and show that you actually have to pay for. Put everything into the booth and let a weekend go by and have 50 conversations with strangers, right? Like that is truth. That'll tell you honestly. You get a ton of interest, and sometimes it's got nothing to do with the work. They love your style, but they don't like your subject material. And they're like, hey, I need a commission, right? Anyway, you need those signals, and that's easy. So in the weird hybrid COVID, not COVID, we're coming out of COVID world that we're living in now, what is the next easiest way? Yeah, absolutely. It's going live on the socials and saying, hey guys, so I'm resurrecting my art career, and I've got an entire basement of pieces. They range in size from this to this. I just want to tell you, right, today's Friday. On Wednesday at 6 p.m., I'm going to be live on Facebook and Instagram, whatever one you have a bigger following on. And I'm just going to do a live art show and go through all the pieces. I've got to move this stuff. My friend Patrick said I've got to get it out of my basement, my colonial basement. And all reasonable offers will be accepted. And see what happens, right? See what happens.
Awesome.
If no one,
Yeah, thank you.
if no one shows up, then guess what? No one saw it anyway. Who cares, right? But you might just get a bite, right? And the thing will live on your Facebook page or your Instagram account after it's done, and you can send it to a couple of family and friends, right? But it's just getting things. It's getting the ball moving. It's getting the ball rolling. But again, everyone has certain circumstances that are beneficial to them, right? I'm a coffee fanatic. Monday through Friday, I go to my normal place. Saturday or Sundays, my kids like the cinnamon rolls at the place around the corner, so I have to go on a bike ride. There's some artist that lives on this main thoroughfare, right? His house is he's on a thoroughfare. That's probably a terrible thing normally because there's cars going by. Every Saturday or Sunday, he's got all of his easels, all of his work, all over his driveway, right? And I see people in there all the time, so I know he's getting some action on it. That's what he's got at his advantage, right? He's got a house on a main thoroughfare. You can do it that way. That's not digital at all. So you kind of just have to get creative to get the work in front of people, especially early on. But that's the best advice I can give you.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Michelle's asking another sizing question. Okay, I'm gonna unmute you, Michelle. Are you there, Michelle? You'll have to hit your mic icon at the bottom left.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, so clarify your question just so I understand it.
Yeah, I just like to paint big.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like to make what I call couch-sized pictures so they can go over somebody's couch and look like they're kind of dominating the space.
Sure.
How big is too big? How big would just in general, I know this is a tricky question, but in general, for a beginning painter selling pretty paintings, how big is too big? How big would make sales a little difficult to begin with, especially?
Yeah, it's a really hard and loaded question. It's what I call a crystal ball question. It's when my mom goes and sees her financial advisor and says, well, I have enough money for retirement. And the financial advisor pulls out the glass ball and he rubs it. He's like, how the heck am I supposed to know? Who knows what will happen in the economy? The short answer is as big as it can go as big as you can sell it, right? Now, granted, it's the point I'm making. There's no magical size. There's no magical media type. It's completely different for everyone. You can't compare. There's no way to reverse engineer it. Like if I just know the media type or if I just know the size and everything else. So that's my disclaimer. Are there guidelines? Yes. Think of the houses that you're in and out of in your town on a regular basis. How many of them have walls big enough where the work would actually look good, right? Like in my buddy's example, the house that you had to own to be able to display his work had to be pretty doggone prominent. It needed to have massive beamed ceilings, 18-foot walls in order for it to actually look right. That was probably too big. Or not, right? If you sold it all, it was totally fine. So I think, understanding who your customer is and understanding that people with 18-foot ceilings, depending on your town, would probably have, upper economic, socioeconomic status, probably $1 million houses, $1.5 million, $2 million houses, depending on where you live. So,
House down here is very low priced.
Yeah, so they don't have those wall space. So if you're trying to sell in your local community, probably keep it so it does sit above the couch. Good idea.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. But don't let that discourage you if you want to go big, right? Like, the larger point is go big, go for it, see if you can sell it. If you can't sell it and everyone says, I wish I could buy this, but I cannot fit it because I don't live in, a huge house, then you're going to be like, okay, I get it. Market's spoken.
Modulate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, John. I like the attitude of it all, though. All right. I think I got all the questions. That was a super fun session. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it's the end of the month. So demo process. Why do we do the demo process? Demo process sounds annoying. I don't want to give you my phone number, Patrick. You guys are going to harangue me into, for years to come. None of that is true. Why do we do the demo? Because there's so many bells and whistles to the software. It takes a demo to actually cover it all, to truly understand what we do. We're working on it. When you request a demo, and look, if you're not interested, at all or mildly, or it's not your time, don't worry about it. Don't request a demo. But if you're curious, at the end of the month, it's always a good time to do it because we run specials. You're incentivized. I think they're either doing 6 months free or some other bell and whistle. I don't even know. I'm delirious right now. But they set up a 10 to 15-minute call. You can get all your questions answered about pricing, this, that, tiers, everything else that I'm not completely up to speed on. And if you like what you hear, you schedule the full demo. If you don't worry, they'll never call you again. But that's our process. So the deal is you get an extra 6 months, 6 free months of membership if you join. So that's the extent of my sales pitch. That's what it is. But thank you guys. Other than that, great session. Really enjoyed it. Hope everybody has a wonderful day. Please come back and see us again. We run 3 of these things a week. And thank you very much.